Peace, everybody, and happy King of Diamonds week. So we are back for another week, and we are in September, this is almost the last week of September, and it is a King of Diamonds week, and September itself is a King of Diamonds month. So we get a double dose of that big, powerful King of Diamonds energy this week. So how can we use this energy? How can we allow this energy to flow and to really kind of like boss up, right? Take the reins as the kings typically do. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can see this a little bit better. Hopefully this is showing up where you can see the plate and where the card that we are going to be talking about a little bit better. So first off, the King of Diamonds is the only one-eyed king, right? We have two one-eyed jacks, the Jack of Hearts and the Jack of Spades, and we have one one-eyed king, and that is the King of Diamonds. So they can kind of be a little blindsided, only see things from one perspective. The high side of that one-eyed energy is really being able to hone in and almost like hyper fixate on something that they want to build, grow, and make successful. But they can also alienate others in that process because of the just being one-eyed, right? I know this is not one of the three fixed cards, but it kind of gives me energy of being fixed, being stuck, being stubborn at times. So just be mindful of that in this week. It does have a fixed card in its spread, that Eight of Clubs, and I will get to that. But let's look at where the King of Diamonds sits on the life spread. That is what this plate is, the life spread. This is where we get every single card's location and birth spread or life spread, which is all the cards that they have in that spread for this lifetime. So the King of Diamonds sits in this row right here, which is Mars. So right off the rip, Martian energy can be aggressive, dominating, powerful, ambitious, and driven. And then this row here is Venus. So now you are looking at a Mars and Venus type of energy where the King of Diamonds naturally sits. So relationships, being very driven, very passionate, even very like sexual. The King of Diamonds, I have found, can be a very attractive energy when they're definitely on the high side. They, should never force or try to overpower, but when they just show up, you can kind of feel their presence, and they do bring with that Martian and Venetian energy where it can be, a drive to succeed, a drive to build, but also connect via relationships. When we look at their Mars card for life, it's a 2. So there's a lot of passion to make very beneficial connections with this energy. So, King of Diamonds, I always like to look at what's crowning. We have the 7 of Diamonds, which they do call the millionaire's card. And I'm a big believer in millionaires don't have a broke mindset. So this King of Diamonds, looking up to the 7 of Diamonds, it's like seeing their worth, seeing their value, seeing the ability to attract more abundance, more prosperity, or the low side could be the lack, the fear, right? So they do have to kind of operate. Not only do they have that 7 of Diamonds that crowns them, they have a 7 of Spades that is a supporting karma card. So they are coming from an energy of like having faith, right? And really seeing yourself. I look at 7s as you have to see yourself as the source, see yourself as the plug, because everything on the outside is just a reflection of your internal frequency. So the King of Diamonds has to have faith in themselves, belief in themselves. That's really a big part of the path of their success. Now, the challenging karma card to the to the King of Diamonds is the 3 of Clubs. So how interesting is that? That the King of Diamonds is a one-eyed king, right? But its challenging karma card is a 3. So they have to open up all 3 eyes to see the bigger picture, right? And truth be told, and I know maybe because I am a jack and I love to play and have fun and think I'm, still 12 inside my mind, I will forever be a Toys R Us kid. And those 3s to me are like the inner child. So a lot of times the 7, because it's a faith or fear type of energy, they can kind of wibbly wobbly in that. But that 3 of Clubs is like, don't be afraid to try something new, to look at things from different perspectives. When the King of Diamonds is really in their highest essence, they can be extremely creative, successful in multiple different things because of that 3 of Clubs, but they've got to open up. They've got to be able to kind of undo the one eye and see from all three eyes, see their options, see their creativity, see, be able to experiment, be able to take a risk. I think this can be a very calculated type of energy. So it's okay to kind of try something out of the norm, and you never know where it can take you, because we know threes are ruled by Jupiter. They want to expand, they want to give us a variety, they want to give us more. But if the King of Diamonds is so focused on just this one thing, it can really miss out on so much expansion and so much opportunity. So in this week, it is one thing to kind of focus and get down to the business, but don't forget to like expand and look at the options and maybe try something that you might not would have tried otherwise, right? Now, their Mercury card for life is the Six of Hearts. And with this energy, their intuition. When I look at sixes and we look at the six, it starts at the top, and what does it do? Go back down and into itself. So they do get back a lot of what they put out. This is a card of wanting to keep the peace, the peacemaker card. But we cannot forget that the Six of Hearts sits Mars. So it's like the King of Diamonds has a mission of a message in some way, shape, or form with that Six of Hearts, because sixes are messenger cards. And this one sits Mars. So it's very passionate. It's almost like it is on a special mission to achieve some kind of peace and some kind of balance, right? And so, but the King of Diamonds has to be mindful of the things that they say, because they get back what they put out. So if they don't like what's showing up, they may need to self-reflect and see, maybe it's me. Maybe it's my, words, ways of communicating. Now their Venus card is the Four of Clubs. I find with people who have a four in Venus thrive in relationships that bring trust, where they feel at peace. They really are building something solid via relationships, right? And the Four of Clubs sits Mars, Jupiter. So the relationships can be big. They can go over the top at times as well. But the Four of Clubs brings more practicality, more organization, more peace of mind, more focus. And so intellectual relationships are probably what stimulate this King of Diamonds. You gotta have something going on up here in the mind to kind of even tickle that King of Diamonds curiosity, right? Because again, having a club in Venus, you like that sapiosexual, or I need that mental stimulation to even get me going, right? And that's a big part of that energy. What can we talk about? What can we communicate about? And, being able to communicate in a more peaceful, gentler way helps to create more healthier, more sturdy and stable relationships for them. Now, their Mars card is the Two of Diamonds. When we talk about master negotiator, master business partner, master, like someone talking about contracts and arrangements and meetings, the King of Diamonds thrives. This Two of Diamonds in Mars makes them immaculate at business, deals, arrangements, investments, being able to get investments, being able to get in front of those people, to have those negotiations, to bring up those contracts and those opportunities to excel. But when a card has a two in Mars, there can be, control issues, moving out of a space of fear at times. And that would kind of come back to that Seven of Spades that they have. So really learning how to cooperate, listen, and allow others to enhance the success. Like they don't have to wear everything on their shoulders, right? Allowing others, part of the pie, if you will, will ideally increase the success of both the King of Diamonds and that business partner or partner in any way, shape, or form. So, they can negotiate with the best ones. They're really good at business and making those business connections as well. They just have to be careful of trying to control or dominate and argue, because that can be the low side of those twos, especially in Mars. That anger that can pop out can be intense, especially since their Mercury card, how they communicate, sits Mars. So their words can have a lot of weight. Now their Jupiter card is the Jack of Spades. So now this is where we can see highs and lows of this energy, right? We know the King of Diamonds can wear many different masks with this Jack of Spades. They do call this the actor's card, so they can really be anybody they want. And I've always said the Jacks can go from the Waffle House to the White House all in one day. So the King of Diamonds has that, where they can kind of move to a room, read a room, and adjust and fit in accordingly. But The low side of that Jack of Spades is escapism. The King of Diamonds can deal with trying to maybe escape through vices such as like alcohol, prescription pills, or, anything that kind of, allows them to ignore reality. But the Jack of Spades also, especially in Jupiter, means that every time they expose themselves to higher wisdom, deeper spiritual practices, it only brings them more opportunity, more even health. Like, this also is a big card of why they can be very physically strong as well. The Jack of Spades, when they move that energy, they can really like be great at fitness, working out, trainer in some way, because again, I feel like the King of Diamonds needs to move a lot of this energy. If not, they can explode, right? We know the low side of this can be deceitful. It's kind of like wearing many different masks. You don't know who you're going to get. So it almost can be like they can be this one way with certain people and be a whole nother way with another different type of people. So they do have that kind of Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type of energy as well. So it's just kind of keeping that energy in check. It can get a little intense. So just be careful of the escapism. Ideally, using this energy to be initiated to, again, higher practices, higher philosophies, higher studies, higher ways of communicating, higher relationships, all of it. Now, their Saturn card for life is the Eight of Clubs, a fixed card, one of the 3 fixed cards. And this is what makes them so super intelligent. They really, anything they put their mind to, the discipline, the drive, the consistency, the not giving up. I call 8s like Energizer bunnies. They keep going and going and going and going. They're infinite, right? So they have an infinite sort, they have like an infinite library up in there that they can use to their, benefit. But because it is a fixed card and a fixed mental card, they have to be very mindful of being stuck, only seeing it one way, back to that one-eyed, and even getting kind of stuck in their head on how things should be. So being a little bit flexible, being open to other opinions and ideas can be very helpful to them. But again, there's nothing they couldn't learn that they put their mind to, their focus to, and their drive to. This makes them extremely intelligent people as well. Now, their Uranus card is the 6 of Diamonds. So they have a 6 in Mercury and a 6 in Uranus. And we know Uranus is a higher octave of Mercury. So again, those downloads that can come in, right, can be sudden, out of the blue, unexpectedly. But this also gives them a sixth sense about business, about money. And when they really like quiet and connect and even, allow those downloads, they can have a lot of aha moments on what could work for business, what way to go, what investment, etc. Also with the 6s, again, you get back what you put out. They can sometimes suddenly deal with debts that need to be taken care of. This is also allowing yourself to receive. It's not always just paying out, but also things coming to you. So allowing yourself to receive. And we know with Uranus, it can come suddenly, out of the blue, unexpectedly. So being financially responsible is necessary for this energy. Taking care of debts, making sure checks and balances, never like go tipping to one side too much, right? Now, their Neptune card is the 4 of Spades. Anybody who has a 4 in Neptune, there is this opportunity for peace, especially like being very almost like intuitive and psychic in like the spiritual realm. 4 of Spades is a very content, protected, it can be complacent, but it also can bring a lot of insight, especially with their dreams. When they're more at peace, when they're more settled, I feel like they're more open to like spiritual downloads with this 4 of Spades here. It's a very protected energy. They and again, like that, because their Venus card and their Neptune cards are 4s, they do like comfort. They do like, they like to be surrounded and feel protected in that castle that they're building, right? Now, their Pluto card for life is the 10 of Hearts. So family, right? We know the 10 of Hearts can be a big family card, a big, being surrounded by love, being admired, attention. We know 10s love attention. They thrive in attention. And I even noticed the King of Diamonds, they can be an energy that will kind of try to come in and take over. And that has a lot to do with these 10s. But also, family can be very important for them, or family can be very, what's the right word for this? where it can be challenging. Sometimes you find they come from big families or have big families as well with this King of Diamonds energy, but this also shows that that performer being on a stage, being admired, being seen, they can't let fears, stop that, desire to be out there. They do have that magnetic quality about them dealing with groups of people, because we know that is a big part of those tens. And then the reward card is the 10 of diamonds. So if they do have fears of being seen, and if they can get over those fears, the reward can be immense success, immense opportunity, immense expansion. But we also know with this 10 of diamonds, their blessings come from being a blessing. So that means the same thing for the King of Diamonds, since this is their result card for life. The more they bless others, the more blessings they will then attract for themselves as well. But having these two tens as part of their spread, they can be very successful, be very generous at the highest, be very giving. Like I said, the low side can be very attention seeking and even doing things to get that type of attention, and realizing that not all attention is good attention, right? Now, their cosmic lesson is the 8 of spades. So remember, their Saturn is an 8, and their cosmic lesson is an 8, and the cosmic lesson is a higher octave of Saturn. So this is literally like the Energizer Bunny. They keep going and going and going, and kind of connected to that Jack of Spades. This is why you can, like, physical activity, building, their body, their strength, building their mind and building their body is what makes them very powerful. Again, King of Diamonds are great in fitness, trainers, owning a gym, running businesses, being, someone in charge. Now, they do have to be mindful, because the 8s on the low side can be very abrupt, very strong arm, almost bullyish. So they should remember the best part of 8s is grace. They should never have to force. 8s and kings, you see, travel together because they represent power. But power never has to show its hand. It just shows up, and people can feel it, and they will respect it. You should never have to force or shove it down someone's throat. This is an infinite source. Like, you have it within you. It's like your own little battery pack, right? But if they don't move this energy, they can be disruptive. They can be explosive. So it's really good for them to be in. So even for us, everybody who's under this King of Diamonds energy this week, move your body. We have a big transit today, Mars square Pluto. It's really good for getting that energy out in some way, shape, or form. Punch the air, do some push-ups, do something to move that energy so you don't internally explode, right? Now, their cosmic moon is the Ace of Hearts. And the moon card that's behind them, that pushes them, that supports them, is the King of Hearts. So having emotional maturity is also very key for this card, especially supported by that King of Hearts. But this Ace of Hearts can make them like me, I, a little emotionally selfish, right? And not that there's something wrong with that, but at the same time, this is a card that this reminds me of like Aries moon, like they're just ready to go. Let's start something, and like letting that fire, that passion, like ignite you from within. So anything that they do believe in, are passionate about, they can, again, take it to the top, make it very successful. Now, this also means, though, there's a strong yearning for attention. There's a strong yearning for affection. But see, that King of Hearts that pushes them is saying you have to kind of grow emotionally, be emotionally intelligent, have more inner control over your emotions, not expecting you from other people, and meeting your own emotional needs is key for this energy. And then their transformation card for life is the Ace of Diamonds. So it just shows that they can build, and if they forever, whatever reason, end up, losing or crumbling, they can always rebuild. Ace of Diamonds, new beginnings, new opportunity. And again, like kind of going back to that 7 that crowns them, and that 7 of spades that is supporting them. It's them. It's you. You have everything inside of you to build your castle, to build your success, to build your wealth, right? You don't have to look outside of yourself. You can always come back to your values, who you are, and start over. There's nothing wrong with a fresh start. So this week, as we move through this energy, build it, and watch, they'll come. Try not to get too hyper focused and alienate others. Really tap into this three and see it from all three sides, all three eyes. Explore, try new things, negotiate, move your body, right? And always, know that no matter what, you can, every day is a new day. Every day is a new opportunity. You get a fresh start every day. So this is with this week. If whatever reason one day didn't go too well, the next day it's a clean slate for the King of Diamonds. You get to start over. You get to start fresh. So enjoy this week. This is our last diamond on a weekly basis, and next week we'll be into the spades until the end of the year, and we'll get more into that on my next video for next week. But for now, what are you harvesting? What are you building, right? And is it on strong ground? Is there no cracks in that castle? And if there are cracks, it's okay. You always have the power to kind of fill in the cracks and rebuild if necessary. So enjoy this energy, enjoy this week, and I will talk to you next time. Peace.